As the Mitch McConnell era winds down, the race for the next Senate Majority Leader is heating up, and CNN's Elena Treen is in Palm Beach, Florida, near Mar-a-Lago. And Elena, just moments ago, just a little bit earlier today, Elon Musk and Marco Rubio throwing their weight behind Florida Senator Rick Scott, considered, frankly, to be the dark horse of the three candidates in this secret ballot race that will happen this week. What else can you tell us?
That's right. And I would also add, it's not just Elon Musk and Marco Rubio. We've seen a number of people, not only Republicans, but also people who are close to Donald Trump and have his ear. I'm going to read for you some of those who have already endorsed Rick Scott for Senate Majority Leader. It also includes Tucker Carlson, Glenn Beck, RFK Jr., Ron Johnson, David Sachs, who is very close to J.D. Vance and has become a major donor for Donald Trump, particularly over this last campaign, Charlie Kirk, Bill Hagerty. Again, many of these people on this list are either people who have helped Donald Trump get elected and remain very close to him and have his ear, particularly as he is on that island behind me, locked down at Mar-a-Lago, going through who he wants to fill his cabinet and other key roles with. But also people like Hagerty and Rubio, who Donald Trump is considering putting in top positions in his second term. So I would keep that in mind. But look, what Donald Trump posted just a little bit earlier today was that he wants to change a very traditional norm that we have seen in Congress for several years now, and that is that he wants to use recess appointments, or make recess appointments, I should say, which is essentially something that would help him bypass getting confirmation for his key nominees. As of now, and I don't want to get too in the weeds here with you, Jessica, but when the Senate wants to take a break, when they go on recess, they actually go into a pro forma session. If they were to actually start doing, voting on a recess resolution, which is what Donald Trump is calling for, you have to see both the House and Senate vote on this, and that could create its own problems. But essentially, enabling the Senate to do that and to pass his confirmation, or to confirm his nominees in the process, again, Donald Trump would be bypassing needing specific Senate confirmation for some of his key people that he wants to put in his cabinet and other roles in his administration. And I'd remind you that a lot of times president-elects want to nominate someone that perhaps is very controversial, perhaps may not receive the necessary votes from the Senate chamber that they need to get confirmed. This would be a way of Donald Trump trying to circumvent that. Now, I'd also note that it wasn't only Rick Scott who went out on social media today. He was the first who said that he supports Donald Trump's decision 100%, that he is dedicated to making sure his nominees get through and get through swiftly. But we also saw the other two candidates who are running for that role, John Cornyn and John Thune, also show support for it. And I think that's just another sign of how much control and power Trump has right now over all of Congress, but specifically this leadership fight.
Yeah,
Jessica?
and so much of this is taking shape in real time and will have such a big impact on how Trump and his team, how effective they can be with their agenda. All right, Elena Treen, thank you so much from West Palm Beach. We appreciate it. And for more on what a Trump administration will look like, we're joined by journalist and author Chris Whipple. He wrote The Gatekeepers, How the White House Chiefs of Staff Define Every Presidency, and argues that these chiefs of staff can even change the course of our country. Chris, thanks so much for being here with us. It's good to see you.
Sure, good to be with you.
So I want to talk about Susie Wiles as Chief of Staff in just a second, but I want to first get your take on what Elena was just reporting on, and we've kind of seen really developing in the last several hours, which is this battle for Senate Majority Leader as the McConnell era ends for Senate Republicans. It is interesting to see the people around him that are weighing in on this, people like Elon Musk, who are not elected and not formally working with him, but clearly have a lot of power.
Yeah, it's clearly really unusual, and we've seen this this movie before during the first Trump White House, when all kinds of people came and went into the Oval Office. You know, by far the most critical appointment is going to be the White House Chief of Staff, and obviously he's made a choice there. The White House chief is the person the president counts on not only to execute his agenda, but to tell him what he doesn't want to hear. Now, that's been problematic for Trump, as we know. And one of the reasons that the first Trump White House was so chaotic and dysfunctional is because there really was no chief of staff in any meaningful sense of the word during his first term. He went through 4, you may recall. None of them was empowered to tell him what he didn't want to hear, and that's a huge problem.
Yeah, and so how do you think this will shape up? Because Susie Wiles, who helped run his successful 2024 campaign, who he really trusts, he has named her as chief of staff. She said very explicitly, according to our reporting, that he had to agree not to let the clown car into the Oval Office. Those were her words, according to our reporting. And so, how much power do you think, just knowing what you just laid out, that sometimes he doesn't always listen to those around him, do you think she will be able to have, and how might their particular relationship impact their relationship within the White House?
Well, look, I mean, to begin with, I think it's great news that, it's long past time that we had a woman as White House chief of staff. So I think that's a great thing. On her side, I think Susie Wiles has demonstrated that she can work closely with Trump without getting fired. She's been able to apparently tell him hard truths from time to time. But here's the problem. I mean, there's a real difference between running a campaign and running the White House. On a campaign, when a president goes rogue, he may offend some people and lose some votes. In the White House, when a president goes rogue, you lose lives. We saw that happen during the pandemic when Trump tried to pretend that there was no pandemic, as Bob Woodward has documented extensively. And he didn't have a White House chief of staff who could tell him otherwise. He had a sycophant in the form of Mark Meadows. So, look, the stakes are really high, and color me skeptical that Susie Wiles can really tell the president what he doesn't want to hear.
And when we've been speaking with Trump allies on this show, a lot of them keep saying they're in a better place than they were in 2016. They know how to do this better, that he's more prepared to get to work immediately, essentially that the system has been streamlined. Do you think that's true?
I don't. Frankly, I don't see any evidence that Trump learned anything about governing during his first term. And I think that, again, this is one of the problems, I think, one of the weaknesses for Susie Wiles, and that is the great White House chiefs of staff in history, James A. Baker III for Ronald Reagan, Leon Panetta for Bill Clinton, were chiefs who had A, White House experience, and B, knowledge of Capitol Hill. Susie Wiles was in the White House 40 years ago as a very young person. That's a long, long time ago. And the problem here is that Trump has never learned the difference between campaigning and governing. He really has no idea that they're very different skill sets entirely. When you're campaigning, you're trying to destroy your opponent. When you're governing, you're trying to make deals with him or her. Trump has never understood that. And you really need a White House chief of staff who knows Capitol Hill to help him figure that out.
All right, Chris Whipple, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Sure, my pleasure.